Hello, my name is Dr. Denise Mose, and I am going to read a bit of my book to you called Blind Faith. Now, about 4.5 years ago, almost 5 years ago, I moved to China. I taught for 14 years, loved it, but realized I needed more in my life, so I moved 8,000 miles away, and it was the coolest thing I ever did. In this book, Blind Faith, talk all about that. Talk all about what the journey was like. So I'm going to read a little bit of it to you and see what you think about it, okay? Exactly what does one pack when they go away for a year? I didn't know anything about my new hometown. I was arriving in December, so it would definitely be cold in China. That much I knew. Did they have all four seasons? Would there be any American restaurants? Did I need to bow? At this point, I'm going off of what I saw in the movies, and that wasn't always 100% accurate. New Shell, my good friend, said that I would only have one roommate. Would she be foreign? Would she be American? Who would she be? My apartment would be within walking distance, and that excited me. All of these visions popped in my head and made me eager for this trip. Now, can you imagine? Here you are living in the USA or your country, and you move to China. You know, I'd never been to China before. I didn't speak Mandarin then. I do now. And it was an amazing experience. I'll read some more to you. So this chapter in my book is all about my first apartment being in China. Okay. Now, if you know anything about Asia and parts of that culture, the bathrooms are quite interesting. So I go into detail about my first apartment in China and what I felt like. A huge apartment greeted me. A fully furnished living room, dining room, kitchen, 2 bathrooms, American style, big windows, and the best part, a washer and dryer. Yes, I hit the jackpot. My research had showed me that usually foreign teachers did not always get such a swanky apartment. Mine was beautiful. I arrived first, so I chose the best and cozy bedroom with all the lights. It was around 3 p.m., so it was still sunny outside. After looking at the other rooms, I just loved the whole vibe of this one thing. It was quaint and it looked like me. Plenty of closet space, big windows, a big white desk, and a television. China, I was ready. Can you imagine that? Going to China? Having an apartment you're used to, and the bathrooms in most Chinese places are on the floor in Asia. So that was a crazy adjustment, but it was awesome. While I was in China, I saw so many amazing places. I just truly did. I saw Thailand, and I saw Dubai, and I saw India, and I saw Beijing, and I saw Shanghai, and I just saw these miraculous places. This chapter focuses on when I went to Thailand and Bangkok and what the experience was like and seeing some of the Buddhas. And this is what it was like. It was my turn, and I was a kid in a candy store. First, the Great Wall of China in Beijing, and now the reclining Buddha here in Bangkok. It is one thing to see these cities in books and these sites in books. It is something altogether to see them up close and personal. As I looked at the reclining Buddha, I saw this large panel over its head. Pat, my driver, told me that it was a 9-tiered umbrella, and it represented the authority of Thailand. Amazing. Thailand was amazing. And seeing the sleeping Buddhas and all the different Buddhas that were there in Wat Po Museum. Wow, iconic. Blind Faith, my book. I've often said this, and this is no more true then than it is now. Traveling is its own education. It is its own education. I'm going to read a portion to you now, kind of a funny portion right now, about going to the bathroom in a certain country I went to in Asia, and I had no idea that there were certain requirements to go to the bathroom. At this point, I was taking pictures, having a good time, and Mother Nature called me. Mother Nature called, so I went to the bathroom. A sweet older lady was nearby, so I spoke to her. As I pushed the door to enter, it did not open. Again, I pressed on the door for entry, and nothing happened. Very kindly, she held out her hand. I was confused. As if on cue, Pam said, my other driver, "Denise, you have to pay to use the bathroom." Shock was all I could muster. Pay? What do you mean pay? Pay for the restroom? Yes, Denise, we do that here. I looked at her, and her hand had not changed. It was then that I saw the sign for payment. I produced the amount to use the restroom, and she unlocked the door. For as long as I live, I will remember her face. She was very sweet and meant business. I laughed to myself as we headed back. Another wonderful lesson about traveling. And for those just joining, my name is Denise Mose, and I am a globetrotter. And I lived in China for a year and a half. And my book, Blind Faith, is all about jumping into a whole different culture and not knowing what to expect, but knowing that deep down it's going to be okay. And so this chapter is about when I went to several parts of Thailand, but one particular part, and you have to pay to use the restroom, and it's not cheap. So wonderful, wonderful experience. We'll never forget it, and I hope you don't either. The last story I'm going to share with you will be the story about when I went to the Great Wall of China. Now, it's a wonder of the world, and it's only in China, so you gotta be in China to see it, right? And I said to myself, wow, I'm gonna see it. So this chapter right now, this chapter called Beijing, is all about me anticipating seeing the Great Wall of China. May. I was going in May. I counted down the days to my flight. Tiananmen Square, Temple of Heaven, Wangfujing District, Summer Palace, Peking Theater, the Palace Museum, Beijing Zoo, Jade Jewelry, and a wonder of the world, the Great Wall of China. I was 1 week away. The staff at my school, George English, told me to visit Beijing in May because it would not be as crowded. Living in Orlando at the time, I knew this all too well. Every Floridian knows not to go to Walt Disney World in the summer. We make our way there in the off season. Less crowds and more time. It makes no sense that Beijing would be any different, and it wasn't. To see the Great Wall, to touch it, to feel it, amazing.